Mark Carney says he wants to hear from First Nations on how best to proceed on economic projects that are deemed in the national interest. This is the Prime Minister speaking to media prior to the beginning of the second day of the summit.
And so the level of engagement, the seniority of engagement, I'm here, I'll be here all day with my ministers, and principally here to listen to about that how and that engagement.
And here's Carney speaking again about the importance of the government listening to and consulting with First Nations in his opening speech.
And the emphasis on listening, Ishkode. We are here to listen, and we are starting as we mean to go forward, by listening, engaging, working together.
There are numerous pleas from First Nations leaders to slow down on the passage of Bill C-5, the government's signature piece of economic development legislation that Indigenous groups say could be used to override their rights. The Liberals rammed the piece of legislation through Parliament and the Senate in 2 weeks with virtually no committee consultation in the spring. Speaking outside the summit on Thursday morning, Assembly of First Nations National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepanek says she was disappointed the Prime Minister's staff decided to prevent media from covering her keynote speech, something she wanted them to hear.
They must have just made that decision. Yeah, of course we're not the ones organizing today. We didn't, rightfully so. The Assembly of First Nations, of course, walks a fine line, as many people, know how that can be.
Southern Chiefs Organization Grand Chief Jerry Daniels says he understands the Prime Minister wants to fast-track key economic projects and cut through red tape. But he says Carney may be unrealistic when it comes to the creation of a major projects office.
The big push here, I think, is trying to create a framework for consultation, a framework for how are they going to see economic development or large-scale projects move throughout Canada, and they want to create a one-shop model that's going to work for everybody. I don't think that necessarily works. You have different cultures, different beliefs right across the country, and so some of us do things in a different way.
But the Prime Minister does have his supporters when it comes to Bill C-5. And one of them is Chinapaqua Dakota Nation Chief Clayton Brown.
It brings a lot of clarity to our nation where projects and like the oil pipelines, True North corridor. These are the things that we feel that we can benefit from.
But at the same time, AFN Regional Chief for British Columbia, Terry Chichi, says the Carney government has missed an incredible opportunity by not including First Nations next week in the First Minister's meeting on the Trump tariffs and failing to seriously engage them on how best to move forward in these troubled economic times.
I think the issue is frustration, really frustration from First Nations, because quite simply we could have been part of the solution and really having to deal with this existential crisis that is, from the Trump administration.
Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.